I want to say something before we get into today's recipes. I know that even a 5-ingredient recipe can feel like too much on some days. Too many things to buy, too many things to remember, too many decisions to make before you've even turned on the stove. Today we are going even simpler than that. 10 dinners. Every single one made with just 3 ingredients. Not 3 steps, 3 ingredients. Salt, pepper, oil, and water don't count. And I promise you every single one of these is genuinely impressive, genuinely filling, and genuinely delicious. Let's get into it. Number 1. Garlic butter salmon. 3 ingredients. 1 salmon fillet, butter, and garlic. That is all. And yet what those 3 ingredients produce when they come together in a hot pan is something that tastes like a restaurant dinner, looks beautiful on a plate, and takes less than 15 minutes from start to finish. Salmon is one of those ingredients that does most of the work for you. It has a naturally rich, delicious flavor that responds extraordinarily well to simple treatment, and garlic butter is perhaps its most perfect companion. Here's what you need. 1 salmon fillet, fresh or frozen and fully thawed. 2 tablespoons of butter. 3 cloves of garlic, minced or very thinly sliced. Heat a small pan over medium-high heat. Add 1 tablespoon of your butter. Once it is foaming, place your salmon fillet skin side down in the pan. Cook for about 4 minutes without moving it. The skin will become crispy and the flesh will begin to turn opaque from the bottom up. You will be able to see the color changing as it cooks. Flip the salmon carefully and cook for another 2 minutes on the second side. In the last minute of cooking, add your remaining tablespoon of butter and all of your minced garlic to the pan. The butter will foam and the garlic will become fragrant almost instantly. Using a spoon, continuously baste the salmon by scooping the garlic butter from the pan and spooning it over the top of the fillet repeatedly for the full last minute. This step is what makes this dish extraordinary. It bastes the salmon in intensely flavored garlic butter on every spoonful and produces a result that tastes like considerably more than 3 ingredients. Remove from the pan and serve immediately. Spoon any remaining garlic butter from the pan over the top. Your tips. The basting step is the technique that elevates this from a simple pan-cooked salmon into something genuinely special. Don't skip it and don't stop spooning. The hot garlic butter cooks the surface of the salmon as you baste, intensifies the flavor, and keeps every part of the fillet moist and well seasoned. Patting the salmon completely dry before it goes into the pan is essential. Moisture on the surface creates steam rather than the golden crust you're looking for. If the skin sticks when you try to flip, it simply isn't ready yet. Leave it another 30 seconds and it will release naturally. Serve with any simple side you have available. Rice, mashed potato, steamed vegetables, or simply bread to mop up the garlic butter from the plate. Number 2. Honey mustard chicken thighs. 3 ingredients: chicken thighs, honey, and mustard. This combination has been one of the great flavor pairings in home cooking for generations. The honey caramelizes in the oven and creates a sticky, golden glaze, while the mustard adds a gentle sharpness that prevents the sweetness from becoming overwhelming. The result is chicken that looks like it came from a proper restaurant and tastes like considerably more effort than mixing 2 pantry ingredients together. Here's what you need. 4 chicken thighs, bone-in or boneless. 2 tablespoons of honey. 2 tablespoons of Dijon or whole grain mustard. Mix your honey and mustard together in a small bowl until well combined. Place your chicken thighs in a baking dish. Pour the honey mustard mixture over the top and turn the chicken to coat it completely on all sides. Use your hands or a spoon to make sure every surface is covered. Bake at 400 degrees for about 35 to 40 minutes, basting the chicken once or twice with the juices that accumulate in the bottom of the dish as it cooks. The glaze should turn deeply golden and sticky, and the chicken should be completely cooked through with no pink remaining. Remove from the oven and let it rest for 3 minutes before serving. Spoon every last drop of the pan juices over the top. Your tips. Basting the chicken during cooking is the step that builds the deeply caramelized, layered glaze that makes this dish look and taste so impressive. Each basting adds another layer of honey mustard over the previous one, building depth and color. If the glaze starts to darken too quickly before the chicken is fully cooked, loosely cover the dish with foil for the last 10 minutes. Whole grain mustard produces a slightly more textured, visually interesting result than smooth Dijon. Both work beautifully, and the choice is entirely down to personal preference. This recipe produces enough for 2 generous portions. The leftovers are excellent the next day, eaten cold or reheated gently. Serve with whatever side you have available. Rice, mashed potato, or roasted vegetables work beautifully alongside the honey mustard glaze. Number 3. Creamy tomato pasta. 3 ingredients: pasta, a can of crushed tomatoes, and cream cheese. The cream cheese is the ingredient that transforms this from a basic tomato pasta into something genuinely rich, silky, and indulgent. It melts into the hot tomato sauce and creates a creamy, velvety consistency that tastes like something considerably more elaborate. This is one of the most impressively simple pastas on this entire list, and one that will become a regular for anyone who tries it. Here's what you need: a portion of spaghetti, or any pasta, 1 can of crushed tomatoes, 2 to 3 tablespoons of cream cheese. Bring a pot of well-salted water to a boil and cook your pasta according to the package instructions. Before draining, scoop out a 1/4 cup of starchy pasta water and set aside. While the pasta cooks, pour your crushed tomatoes into a small saucepan over medium heat. Season generously with salt and pepper. Let it simmer for about 8 to 10 minutes, stirring occasionally, until the sauce has thickened slightly and the flavors have concentrated. Remove the sauce from heat. Add your cream cheese and stir continuously until it melts completely into the tomato sauce, creating a smooth, creamy, pale orange-colored sauce. Drain your pasta and add it directly to the sauce. Toss everything together, adding a splash of the reserved pasta water if the sauce seems too thick. The starchy water will help the sauce cling to the pasta and achieve the right consistency. Your tips: the cream cheese must be added off the heat rather than while the sauce is still on the burner. Adding it to an actively boiling sauce can cause it to separate and become grainy rather than smooth and silky. Stir continuously from the moment it goes in until it is completely incorporated. Full-fat cream cheese produces a noticeably richer, more indulgent result than low-fat. In a recipe this simple, ingredient quality makes a significant difference to the finished dish. The reserved pasta water is not optional. It is the step that brings the sauce and pasta together into a cohesive, restaurant-quality result, rather than pasta sitting in a pool of separate sauce. Number 4. Sausage and bean casserole. 3 ingredients: sausages, a can of beans, and a can of diced tomatoes. This is old-fashioned budget cooking, at its most honest and its most delicious. Sausages and beans have been one of the great affordable combinations for generations, and when they cook together in a tomato base, the beans absorb all the smoky, savory flavor from the sausage and become extraordinarily rich and comforting. The oven does almost all the work, and the result is something genuinely warming and deeply satisfying. Here's what you need: 4 inexpensive sausages, 1 can of white cannellini beans or kidney beans, drained and rinsed, 1 can of diced tomatoes. Slice your sausages into thick rounds, about 4 to 5 pieces per sausage. Place them in a small oven-safe pan or casserole dish over medium heat, and brown them for about 3 minutes per side until golden on the outside. Add your drained beans and your can of diced tomatoes directly to the pan with the sausage. Season with salt and pepper and stir everything together. Cover with a lid or foil and bake at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. Remove the cover for the last 10 minutes to allow the top to caramelize slightly. Before serving, use the back of a spoon to mash a few of the beans against the side of the pan and stir through. This thickens the sauce naturally and gives the casserole a wonderfully hearty body. Your tips: browning the sausages before the casserole goes in the oven is the step that adds the most flavor to the finished dish. The caramelized exterior of the sausage releases into the tomato and bean sauce during baking and gives the whole casserole a depth that unbrowned sausages simply cannot achieve. Slicing the sausages into rounds, rather than leaving them whole, allows the flavor to distribute more thoroughly through the beans and sauce. You get a much more evenly flavored casserole when the sausage is in pieces throughout. Serve with thick, crusty bread for dipping into the sauce. Number 5. Cheesy potato soup. 3 ingredients: potatoes, chicken broth, and cheddar cheese. Potato soup is one of the great comfort soups. Thick, warming, deeply satisfying, and adding a generous amount of cheddar cheese to a simple potato and broth base produces something that tastes far more indulgent and complex than 3 ingredients have any right to deliver. This is the soup to make when you want something that feels genuinely substantial and comforting, with almost no effort at all. Here's what you need: 3 or 4 medium potatoes, peeled and diced into small cubes, 2½ cups of chicken broth, a generous cup of grated cheddar cheese. Be genuinely generous here, because the cheese is the flavor of this soup. Place your diced potatoes and chicken broth in a pot over medium-high heat. Bring to a boil, then reduce heat, and simmer for about 15 to 18 minutes, until the potatoes are completely tender and fall apart when pressed with a fork. Use a potato masher to mash about half the potatoes directly in the pot. You want a combination of smooth, creamy, mashed potato and remaining chunks, which gives the soup both a thick body and a satisfying texture at the same time. If you prefer a completely smooth soup, blend the whole pot with an immersion blender. Remove from heat. Add your grated cheddar cheese and stir continuously until completely melted into the soup. Season with salt and a generous crack of black pepper. Taste and adjust seasoning. Your tips: the cheese must go in off the heat. Adding it to an actively simmering soup can cause it to become stringy and grainy rather than smooth and silky. Remove the pot from the burner completely before adding the cheese and stir until every last piece has melted. Pre-grated cheese from a bag does not melt as smoothly as cheese grated fresh from a block. The anti-caking agents added to pre-grated cheese interfere with the melting process. If you have the energy to grate it fresh, the result will be noticeably smoother. Serve with thick bread for dipping. Number 6. Lemon butter cod. 3 ingredients: 1 cod fillet, butter, and a lemon. Cod is one of the most naturally delicious white fish available. It has a delicate, mild, slightly sweet flavor and a beautifully flaky texture that responds extraordinarily well to the simplest possible treatment. Butter and lemon is perhaps the most classic accompaniment to white fish in existence, and for very good reason. It enhances without overpowering, adds richness without heaviness, and together with the natural flavor of the cod, produces something genuinely elegant. Here's what you need: 1 cod fillet, fresh or frozen and fully thawed, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 lemon, both the juice and the zest. Pat your cod fillet completely dry on both sides with kitchen paper. Season generously with salt and pepper on both sides. Heat a small pan over medium-high heat. Add 1 tablespoon of your butter. Once it is foaming, add your cod fillet. Cook for about 3 minutes without moving it until a golden crust forms on the bottom and the flesh has begun to turn opaque from the base. Flip carefully and cook for another 2 to 3 minutes on the second side. Add your remaining tablespoon of butter to the pan. As it foams, add the zest and juice of your lemon directly into the pan. The liquid will bubble intensely and immediately begin to reduce into a bright, intensely flavored lemon butter sauce. Baste the cod continuously by spooning this sauce over the top for about 1 minute. Remove from heat and serve immediately with the lemon butter sauce poured over the top. Your tips: lemon zest, rather than just juice, is what gives this dish its intensely bright, floral lemon flavor. The zest contains the essential oils from the lemon skin and delivers considerably more flavor per teaspoon than juice alone. Always zest the lemon before juicing it. Once a lemon is juiced, it is very difficult to zest. Patting the fish completely dry before cooking is the most important preparation step. A wet fillet steams rather than sears, and you will not get the golden crust that makes this dish genuinely beautiful. Serve with rice, mashed potato, or crushed peas alongside. Number 7. Beef mince and rice. 3 ingredients: beef mince, rice, and soy sauce. This is one of the simplest and most satisfying one-bowl dinners available. Ground beef broken into small pieces and browned until deeply caramelized, seasoned with soy sauce, and served over rice. It sounds almost too simple to be good, and yet it is one of those dishes that disappears faster than almost anything else on this list, because it is so deeply savory and satisfying and completely filling. Here's what you need: around 8 ounces of lean beef mince, half a cup of rice, cooked, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Cook your rice according to your preferred method and set aside. Heat a small pan over high heat. Add your beef mince and break it up continuously with a spoon as it cooks. You want small, even pieces rather than large chunks. Cook for about 5 to 6 minutes, continuing to break it up until the beef is deeply browned and caramelized rather than just cooked through. The browning is where all the flavor comes from. Gray beef mince has almost no flavor, while deeply browned beef mince is intensely savory and satisfying. Add your soy sauce to the pan. It will sizzle intensely and immediately begin to reduce and coat the beef. Toss everything together for about 30 seconds until the soy sauce has reduced to a glossy coating on every piece of beef. Spoon the finished beef over your cooked rice in a bowl. Your tips: the high heat and the patience to let the beef brown deeply rather than just cook through is the technique that makes this dish genuinely excellent rather than merely adequate. Don't be tempted to stir too frequently in the early stages. Letting the beef sit in contact with the hot pan is what creates the caramelization. Add the soy sauce only at the very end. Adding it earlier causes it to steam, rather than reduce and caramelize onto the beef. A fried egg on top of the finished bowl turns this from a simple dinner into something genuinely complete and protein-rich. Number 8. Creamy mushroom chicken. 3 ingredients: chicken thighs, mushrooms, and cream. This is the recipe on this list that most convincingly disguises the fact that it contains only 3 ingredients. It produces something so rich, so deeply savory, and so genuinely indulgent that it tastes like the kind of dish that takes real skill and effort to produce. The mushrooms are the key. Properly cooked until deeply golden, they add a savory, earthy depth to the cream that makes the finished sauce taste extraordinarily complex. Here's what you need: 2 chicken thighs, boneless and skinless. A generous handful of mushrooms, sliced. Any variety works, but chestnut or button are ideal. Half a cup of heavy cream or evaporated milk. Season your chicken thighs generously with salt and pepper on both sides. Heat a little oil in a pan over medium-high heat. Add the chicken and cook for about 5 minutes on the first side until golden and sealed. Flip and cook for another 4 to 5 minutes on the second side until cooked through. Remove from the pan and set aside. Add your sliced mushrooms to the same pan in a single layer. Cook without stirring for about 3 minutes. This is the step that creates the deep golden crust on the mushrooms that gives the sauce its extraordinary flavor. Once golden on one side, stir and cook for another 2 minutes. Pour in your cream. Stir to combine with all the mushroom juices and any browned bits from the bottom of the pan. These bits are concentrated flavor and they dissolve into the cream to create the sauce. Let the cream simmer for about 3 minutes until it thickens slightly. Return the chicken to the pan. Spoon the cream and mushroom sauce over the top. Simmer for 2 more minutes. Taste and adjust seasoning. Your tips: the mushroom browning step is the most important in this recipe. Properly golden mushrooms produce a sauce that tastes deeply rich and complex. Mushrooms that are stirred too early or cooked over medium heat will steam rather than brown and produce a pale, watery sauce with very little flavor depth. Do not stir until the first side is properly golden. 3 full minutes undisturbed. Evaporated milk is an excellent lower-cost substitute for heavy cream in this recipe and produces a very similar result. Number 9. Tomato butter gnocchi. 3 ingredients: fresh gnocchi, butter, and a can of crushed tomatoes. Fresh gnocchi is one of the most convenient and satisfying convenience ingredients available. It cooks in literally 2 minutes and absorbs sauce beautifully. Combined with a simple pan-made tomato butter sauce, it produces something that looks and tastes like proper Italian comfort food in under 15 minutes with almost no effort. Here's what you need: 1 pack of fresh gnocchi, around 5 ounces, found in the fresh pasta section of most supermarkets. 2 tablespoons of butter, half a can of crushed tomatoes. Melt your butter in a small pan over medium heat. Let it cook for about 2 to 3 minutes past the point of melting. You want it to turn very slightly golden and begin to smell nutty rather than just buttery. This browned butter adds a depth and richness to the finished sauce that regular melted butter simply cannot match. Add your half can of crushed tomatoes to the browned butter. Season with salt and pepper. Stir to combine and let the sauce simmer for about 8 minutes until it has thickened slightly and the flavors have come together. While the sauce simmers, Cook your gnocchi in well-salted boiling water until they float to the surface, about 2 minutes. Drain and add directly to the tomato butter sauce. Toss gently to coat every piece in the sauce. Serve immediately. Your tips. Browning the butter before adding the tomatoes is the technique that transforms this from a simple 3-ingredient pasta into something genuinely special. The nutty, caramelized notes of the browned butter add a layer of complexity that elevates the whole dish significantly. Watch it carefully once it begins to foam. Browned butter and burnt butter are separated by about 30 seconds, and burnt butter will make the whole sauce bitter. Using only half a can of tomatoes rather than the full can produces a more concentrated sauce for a single portion. The remaining half keeps in the fridge for 2 or 3 days for another use. Number 10. Slow cooker pulled chicken. 3 ingredients: chicken thighs, barbecue sauce, and chicken broth. This is the slow cooker recipe that produces perhaps the most impressive result, relative to its effort of anything on this entire list. You add 3 ingredients to the slow cooker in the morning. You walk away. You come back in the evening to chicken so tender it falls apart at the touch of a fork, bathed in a rich, sticky, deeply flavored barbecue sauce. It is genuinely one of the easiest and most satisfying things a slow cooker can do. Here's what you need: 4 chicken thighs, boneless. Half a cup of barbecue sauce, any variety you enjoy. Half a cup of chicken broth. Place your chicken thighs in the slow cooker. Mix your barbecue sauce and chicken broth together in a small bowl and pour the mixture over the chicken. Cover and cook on low for 6 to 7 hours or on high for 3 to 4 hours. When the chicken is done, it should be so tender that it falls apart when you press it gently with a fork. Shred it directly in the slow cooker using 2 forks. Pull the meat apart into pieces and stir everything together so the shredded chicken absorbs all the barbecue sauce and cooking juices. Serve over rice, on a toasted bun, wrapped in a warm tortilla, or simply in a bowl on its own. Your tips. The chicken broth is not just a liquid filler. It serves 2 important purposes. It prevents the barbecue sauce from burning or caramelizing too aggressively on the bottom of the slow cooker during the long cooking time, and it dilutes the sweetness of the barbecue sauce enough to allow the chicken flavor to come through rather than being completely dominated by the sauce. The pulled chicken freezes perfectly in individual portions and reheats in minutes. This makes it one of the best batch cooking recipes on this entire list. A single batch produces enough pulled chicken for 3 to 4 separate meals, 10 dinners, every single one made with just 3 ingredients. Every single one genuinely impressive, genuinely filling, and genuinely worth making, regardless of how much energy or money you have available. Which one are you trying first? Drop the number in the comments. We read every one, and we would genuinely love to know. New recipes every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve a good dinner tonight. See you soon.